If you're planning a cruise and you are thinking there are just no good deals out there, I promise you that isn't true. The only thing is we have to work a little bit harder than we did a couple of years ago. But in this video, I'm going to share with you some genius ways that I use to save money on my future cruises that I think will help you too. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, if you watch my channel regularly, you know that this is not my home and I'm also not on a cruise. So I am staying a couple of days in between cruises. I cannot wait to go on my next cruise along the Intracoastal in Florida. It has been lovely, but let me tell you, I cannot wait to get on a cruise because truthfully, that is still the best value. Now, before I get started, I wanted to mention two things. Firstly, I am trying to be as concise as possible, but every single one of these tips are really of very good value. And depending if this is your first cruise or your 30th, well, some of these are going to apply to one person more than the other. And secondly, if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. All right, starting off with number one, when should you cruise and when should you book your cruise? Now, firstly, many people will tell you book early. That is still the best advice. If you can book a year or 18 months in advance, generally you're going to find the best pricing and you're going to be able to choose the cabin you want. You're going to be able to take the opportunity to get the best prices on air when they come out. But I know that's not always possible for everybody. So otherwise, if it's not very early, you can also sometimes find some great deals on last minute bookings. Now for cruising, last minute can be 6 weeks or even 90 days before your cruise. Something that I like to do is look around the time that is final payment. So somewhere between 120 days before the cruise and 70 days before a cruise. I know oftentimes that if cruise lines do have a lot of space available around that time, that's a time period that those cruises are going to go on sale. Cruise during off or shoulder season. Now, years ago, I would have said don't do this. However, I've done it a few times now. And honestly, I'm convinced that this is probably the best time to cruise. Now, we did a cruise the week before Thanksgiving, a Caribbean cruise this year. The price was fantastic. But the other benefit was the fact that the ship, while I guess it was still full, it wasn't like very full. This was absolutely phenomenal. Now as well, we did the Mediterranean in sort of early to mid-March. This was a really nice time to visit the Mediterranean. Sure, I did wear a little light sweater, but this was great for sightseeing. You might be wondering, what is shoulder season? So in Alaska, shoulder season is generally going to be during the month of May as well as during the month of October. In the Mediterranean, generally, or even in Europe, the shoulder season is going to be in March, April, May, and then again in October and November. And in the Caribbean, you have the hurricane season, which runs anywhere, truthfully, from summertime all the way through October. Generally, the pricing is best in October, but the secret time that is phenomenal is between, well, November and Christmas time. Those sailings for about 5 weeks, with the exception of Thanksgiving week sometimes, but those are going to be some phenomenal prices. And truthfully, if you want that Christmas vibe, you can get that if you sail just a couple of weeks before. All right, moving on to something very significant, price check and price monitor. So once you book your cruise, if the price goes down before final payment, most of the time the cruise line is going to honor that price. Now, how do you monitor the price of your cruise? People ask me oftentimes, well, you can do a mock booking directly on the website. But I do have an additional tip. If you work with a travel agent that does price monitoring for you, you can actually benefit from this service. Book a repositioning cruise. Now, I know a lot of avid cruisers love repositioning cruises, not only because the price per night is probably the best. It is the most advantageous, but at the same time, there are a lot of sea days. However, I'll be honest with you, this has not appealed to me that much because I don't necessarily, I like sea days, but I don't want to do like a 14 or 15 day cruise and have, 8 or 9 or 10 of them be sea days. But I did find a repositioning cruise, and I thought this was really interesting. By the way, I found this repositioning cruise on MEI Travel's website. This video is sponsored by MEI Travel, but a little bit more about them later on. But I did want to share with you a type of repositioning cruise that might be interesting for people who don't necessarily want all those sea days. So this repositioning cruise leaves from New York and it heads to Fort Lauderdale. Now it is during the month of November, and remember, that's a pretty good month to sail. Now, in my opinion, this itinerary is fantastic. This is on a great ship. This is on Enchanted Princess, so I will tell you about it. It's 12 nights. It starts in New York. You have 3 days at sea. Then you head to St. Martin, St. Kitts, St. Lucia. I love St. Lucia. A day at sea, Curacao, Aruba, 2 more days at sea before you head back to Fort Lauderdale. So that is a fantastic Southern Caribbean cruise. And by the way, the pricing for an interior cabin starts at only $85 per person per night, including taxes and port fees. Book with a travel agent who can help you to navigate the world of cruise deals, because honestly, I know, I look myself, and they can be very confusing. It can be hard to know if you're getting the best deal or not. Now, this video is sponsored by MEI Travel. They're the travel agency that we use to book all of our cruises. And I did want to share with you some of the benefits of using MEI Travel, because oftentimes I am asked about how to find a reputable cruise travel agent. So firstly, MEI Travel is a no-fee travel agency. A lot of people are surprised about this, but you will not pay more by booking with MEI Travel versus the cruise line. As a matter of fact, oftentimes you are going to pay less because they have access to exclusive deals and promotions. One of the things that I like best about dealing with MEI Travel is they have a rate monitoring service. So they have a proprietary technology that they're able to actually monitor the price of your cruise, and they'll proactively apply that discount. Now, MEI Travel has a fantastic website as well. So you can actually go directly onto the MEI Travel website. You could search for the different cruises that you want at any time of day. And I will tell you a little tip or a little hack. There is a little spot that you can check off headquarters specials, and you'll find some of those exclusive deals, sometimes with extra discounts or with extra onboard credits. I just find that that's a really good way to search. And while MEI Travel has over 100 travel advisors that are able to help you out, you can also do your booking any time of day. So even if it's at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can actually book your own cruise directly on their website. But the next day, somebody can help you to finalize any of those details and to answer any of your questions. Now, I'm going to leave all of the information for the MEI Travel website linked down below in the description of this video in case you do want to check them out. How to get extra discounts on your cruise. Now, there are several different ways that you can get discounts. One of the ways are military discounts. So if you're a military family, check into, it's not every single cruise line, but many cruise lines do have military discounts where either you're getting a percentage off or you're getting an additional onboard credit. Now, as well, there are resident discounts, and this doesn't only apply to Florida, by the way. I live in Canada. I live in Montreal, Quebec, and I'm able to find some resident discounts as well. Shareholder credits. Now, this is lesser known, especially for first-time cruisers, but this can be a really good benefit for people that plan to cruise a lot. Now, when you own 100 shares of either Carnival stock, Royal Caribbean, or Norwegian, and by the way, these are parent companies, so any of the cruise lines that are part of that brand, you can still benefit from that shareholder credit. So whenever you go on, for instance, a Princess cruise and you own Carnival shares, then you do benefit from an onboard credit that is a shareholder onboard credit. Now, on a 7-night Princess cruise in a balcony, that ends up being $100. If you're on a longer sailing, like 14 nights, that's $250 of onboard credit. Now, by the way, if you're wondering what are onboard credits are basically just cash credits that you could use when you're on board. You could use them to book specialty dining restaurants. You could use them to go towards crew gratuities, excursions, etc. Book with bundles. Now, I think bundles are one of the best ways, especially for first-time or beginner cruisers, to save a lot of money. Now, what is a bundle? Basically, a lot of cruise lines these days are offering the ability to book packages that are bundled together, and therefore you are getting a better price. Now, as an example, if you are booking a Princess cruise, you can book Princess Plus. That includes Wi-Fi, that includes some casual specialty dining, that includes crew gratuities or a crew incentive, and a beverage package that includes alcohol, specialty coffee, and water. Now, other cruise lines have this as well. Holland America has the Have It All package. You have Celebrity that has all included. You have Norwegian Cruise Line that has more at sea. These are all a really good value. Of course, you do have to see what you are going to use and not use, but I would suggest pricing it out, because even though you pay a higher price at the beginning, you will likely save a lot of money on your cruise. Now, for my Royal Caribbean friends, consider booking the Key. Now, what is the Key? The Key is an early embarkation program, but it is more than that. And I do have a little word of caution. It is, make sure that you are finding the Key on sale or on promotion, because that's when it is actually a value. Otherwise, honestly, cost-wise, I'm not sure you really come out ahead. But you get on board early, you get a really nice chops grill lunch in the main dining room. You get the benefit of, they take your luggage or your carry-on and they bring it to your cabin for you, so you don't have to lug that around. But you also do get Wi-Fi included. So if you're planning to buy Wi-Fi anyway, you might find that this is a very good value. Now, speaking of cruise line packages, always buy this before you get on board the cruise. I've actually made the mistake, I don't know why I do it sometimes, by not upgrading my Wi-Fi before I get on board the ship. I know I'm always going to upgrade my Wi-Fi, and I'm always, losing out on that extra 10% savings. It does really add up. So if you are buying packages, shore excursions, Wi-Fi, even spa, you can get that oftentimes less expensive if you book it before you get on board the cruise. Now, I do have an extra spa tip that I've never really seen shared, and I only figured it out on a couple of recent cruises. But when you're booking your spa services, especially if you're looking ahead of time, you could see based on the appointment what the cost is going to be. I ended up finding out that when I did like a hair blow dry and even a pedicure, that by booking these at around 5 p.m. or I guess it was just after 5 p.m., they were less expensive than earlier in the day. And as well, I think a lot of people do know this, but if you are booking a treatment on a port day, it is often going to be 10, 20, or even more % less than on the sea days. Book your next cruise on board the cruise that you are on. Now, this is something I have been doing for years, and I swear by it. As a matter of fact, the cruise that we are doing in just a couple of days, what I did is I booked, it was on Norwegian Cruise Line, so I booked a next cruise on board that cruise, and I did sort of an open booking so that when I got home, I was able to contact my travel agent and I was able to do all of those arrangements. But not only was I able to book my own cruise and therefore get my additional onboard credit for my future cruise, but I also bought additional Cruise Next certificates that I was able to use for my sons for their different cabins. And by the way, when you book your next cruise on board, that can still be transferred to your travel agent. So any additional benefits that your travel agent is going to have, or just so that they can help you out, all of that can still be done with your travel agent. Money saving tips for your cabin. Now, the lowest price cabin typically is going to be your interior cabin, but always take a look to see what is available. Now, another tip is to look at guarantee cabins. Now, I'm not very picky when it comes to where my cabin is, but I do recognize there's the difference between being forward and being aft or midship. So if you are either picky or you're sensitive to motion, this is not a good tip for you. But otherwise, you can save a lot of money by booking a guarantee cabin. And in my experience, it doesn't mean that you're going to have a bad cabin because you have done this. But the other way to save money on cabins that I have been doing, and it is a little bit hit or miss though, is bidding for a cabin upgrade. Now, here's an important tip. Only book the lowest cabin that you are still going to be happy with. So don't book an interior cabin hoping to bid for an upgrade to a balcony cabin and then being very disappointed when you don't get it, or if you don't get it. Don't do that. But if you book a balcony cabin and you're happy with that, but you'd love to have a mini suite, put in a low bid and see what happens. I can tell you that I did actually win my bid going from a balcony to a mini suite on a past cruise. And as well, when I booked my parents' cruise in an interior cabin, we did win the bid for a balcony cabin. And truthfully, I saved hundreds, and even in the case of the mini suite, thousands of dollars. Build loyalty with one cruise line. Now, I know a lot of people say just shop around and go with different cruise lines, and that definitely is an option. I cruise on a lot of different cruise lines, but something that I've noticed is I probably have missed out on being at higher levels with just one cruise line, because when you do that, you do get certain benefits. Now, that can include getting free specialty dining. Who doesn't want that? Getting discounts on cabins, getting free drinks. That is a really good benefit. And even free laundry. I don't know about you, but that is a perk I love. Status match. Now, I do wish more cruise lines would do this, but right now we have 2 cruise lines that are willing to match the loyalty status that you have with your cruise line. This is great for people that are at those higher levels and do want to try a different cruise line. So Virgin and MSC both have those programs. Bring items from home to save money. So check with your cruise line as to what you are able to bring from home. Now, things that I'm talking about is maybe skip the drink package and instead bring soda on board. You can do that on Carnival and on Royal Caribbean, and a lot of people do it. Bring wine on board. Now, I caution you, you will pay a corkage fee if you bring that wine to the main dining room. So you can open that in your cabin, drink it in your cabin, or honestly, you could even pour wine into a glass and go into the dining room with it. Nobody will stop you, but that's just a word of warning. Now, other things to bring from home are over-the-counter medication. There are stories of people who say, oh my goodness, I was not able to get Benadryl on board my cruise ship, and it was gonna cost me hundreds of dollars to go to the medical center to get it instead. So bring any over-the-counter medication that you think that you even might need. Bring as well any toiletries, personal items that you need as well. I guarantee you they're going to be expensive on the cruise ship and you may not even find what you need. Apply for a cruise line credit card. Now, this is not financial advice, but if you do apply for a cruise line credit card, there are some really great sign-up bonuses that can equal as much as $200 on board credit. And there are a lot of benefits that you can get with the cruise line credit cards, including even getting a free cruise. Now, if you're not eligible for those cruise line credit cards, there are also hotel chain credit cards. So for example, I now have a Marriott credit card. It was my son who turned me on to this, and I'm able to get a free one-night stay. When I signed up for my Marriott credit card, I was able to get 60,000 points right basically at sign up with a certain amount of spending. So again, this is not financial advice, but you could look at a variety of credit cards to find how you can get those additional travel benefits. Now, I'm going to leave all of the information for MEI Travel and the website where you can take a look and search for cruise deals, or you can get a quote from a travel agent. I'll leave that linked down below in the description of this video, as well as in a pinned comment. And by the way, you can always find the link for MEI Travel in my video descriptions. And I'd love to hear from you. Please let me know about your own tips, your own hacks that have really worked, any of the best cruise deals that you have found. Please let me know down below, and let me know as well if you'd like another video with some specific cruise deals. If you would like to see that in the future, let me know as well. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.